Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Pizza Cultura. I'm Stephanie Swan. I'm the publisher of Modernist Cuisine, and I will be diving in with my fellow friends, Peter and Tom, to talk about Pizza Fest this year and how there's been an enormous upswing of a variety of pizza festivals geared towards consumers in many countries, many cities, and maybe even one near you. So we will talk a little bit about the ones that we've hit, as well as our differences in location. Tom, I want to turn over to you because it seems like for the UK, it hasn't really been a big to do for pizza festivals, unlike the States.
No,
What have
it's
you
not.
found?
It's not as big a thing here. I mean, it could just be that I'm not getting the memo and I'm missing out on them all. But I mean, with the exception of the one where I met yourself, which was awesome. I think that's the only one they've had. No, and
And
even that
that's
isn't
in,
really
and that's
a
industry.
fest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's industry, professional pizza makers, but it doesn't really seem like there's been a big like consumer outreach for pizza lovers.
Can you just dumb it down for me and I guess possibly the audience? What exactly what exactly do you mean by Pizza Fest?
So, Pizza Festival would be a gathering of people coming to visit a variety of pizzerias and taste. Typically, there's tastings of these pizzerias. So, pizzerias are making their particular favorite slice and serving it to the customer. They're paying an entry fee to get sometimes unlimited slices of pizza.
So
Sometimes it's limited to a certain number.
kind of like our friend Scott Wiener does with like Slice Out Hunger, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so there's kind of a two sides of the coin for these pizza fests. Some are community driven and going towards nonprofit, like the Slice Out Hunger that Scott runs, and then some are done by pizza industry professionals. And some of the money might be going to a charity, but it's mostly creating a, an excitement for the community.
Yeah, I think the only one that I've done was I went to Pizza at the Pier one year, the one in kind of Dumbo, Brooklyn area,
Right.
and when Scott used to do the one in the church in Little Italy, Chinatown, kind of way back
Yeah, the old school.
pre-COVID. Yeah, the old school one. What other ones like? What other ones are there in the calendar? Because this is something I'm not overly familiar with.
Well, Peter, I know you went to the Chicago one. The Chicago one's been up and running for 2 years now, and featuring, all the different styles that you'll find in pizza in Chicago, plus demos. And Peter's also been a lecturer too. So, Peter, do you want to talk about the Pizza Fest in your hometown?
Right. So this is Steve Dolinsky's Pizza City Fest that he's been doing for 2 years. Each day, if you just go normally, it's $95. This year, it was $95 for 10 slices. And I think that included the beverages too and your choice of dessert. On one of the days, the day that I went, it really didn't go as planned. But as a value proposition, 10 slices for $95.
It's not bad.
Um, well, it's not bad. I mean, I went there to see people like Stephanie, and I had other friends who were going to be there. So that's why. But if I was a normal person, it's right at that edge where I'm not sure I would go. I'm not sure if it actually was worth it. So the thing that I sort of thought about when I left that festival is how they can sort of increase the value proposition. And I'm coming from a person that I greatly appreciate everything that Steve has done in regards to the festival, because that's not a trivial thing, obviously, to do. That's a really hard thing to do. So
What's
I'm
just
I'm
to
glad he's
interject?
doing it.
What's sorry? What's the average slice price in Chicago? Sorry, I didn't mean to derail
Yeah,
you.
to the extent
Um,
we have a slice culture, it's probably around, boy, I think Whole Foods is probably the best guide, and that's $4.
Yeah, I'd
okay.
So
say less than five or five-ish for a good slice
yeah,
in
but it
Chicago.
really is. I mean, it's sort of a weird thing. Like, we don't have a slice culture here, so that's when we talk about the value of the festival, it's really a good way to compare and contrast different pizzerias from that region, because you are getting a slice and you're doing it on the same day, if not the same hour. So you really can get a good sense of who's doing what and who's the best or who's not the best and stuff like that.
And there's also, I mean, it's like you said, like, is it for the normal, like, everyday person? Unless they're really loving pizza, maybe not, because of the price. I mean, there's a VIP usually,
Yeah,
that's a little bit more too, that might get you in earlier,
that's insane
give
though.
you a little extra something, but it's
Yeah,
usually quite a bit more. Um, and, there's selfie opportunities within the Pizza Fest, usually, backgrounds. But I do think it is an opportunity to check out places that you might never go to. Maybe they're not in your neighborhood. Maybe it's like me coming in from Seattle to go to Chicago. It's a great way for me to see what Chicago as a whole might be doing differently. So yeah, it's interesting. Same with Pizza on the Pier in Brooklyn. They have, I think, 20 pizzerias, and they rotate. So you get, some pizzerias in the morning, you get some
Yeah.
pizzerias in the afternoon, but it gives you an opportunity to try a lot of places. I mean, Tom, what did you find? Like, what were the highlights for you when you went to Pizza on the Pier?
I mean, in terms of use case, it was like you said, it was mainly just having that kind of captive space where you could just hit all the places you'd been wanting to try for ages and maybe hadn't had the opportunity just because logistics are a bit fiddly. I mean, I guess that's kind of one of the things I'm curious about in terms of use case. Obviously, industry people go for different reasons, but for regular punters, it's either just a kind of epic cheat meal or it's something that helps you get around logistics, presumably. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, that noticed a trend too of some of the Pizza Fest combining local breweries too, and
Mm-hmm.
partnering with breweries. Like,
Very good and very dangerous.
yeah, but I think that that's a good, like, community involvement too, is brewers and pizza makers. It's in the fermentation family. And then it's actually in providing another level of fun to the food and the beverage community. So someone might be going there just to have a couple of local brews. Someone might go there to have some local pizzas. And even the one in San Francisco had bagels too. So it was a bagel, beer, and pizza festival. So you could try your bagels in the morning, move on to beer and pizza in the
That's
afternoon.
pretty cool. I mean,
So,
I'd love to do, I'd love to do a Chicago one because I've never had Chicago pizza in Chicago. So going to one in Chicago and just being able to blitz all the big names, that definitely appeals.
I think that's true. Like Peter, the representation in Chicago at the two pizza fests, because it was 2 days, so there were different pizzerias set up on Saturday, there were different pizzerias set up on Sunday. So you did get, if you wanted to go 2 days, you did get a selection of a lot of different types of Chicago style pizza. Um, it- Peter, you want to kind of talk about the different styles they offered and any highlights of pizza places you saw in Chicago?
Well, yeah, it really does give you a unique opportunity to compare and contrast different styles. Chicago obviously has a deep dish. We have stuffed. We have tavern style. And just in the last, I would say, 15 years, they've really expanded the Neapolitan, Sicilian style, bakery style. So it really gives you a unique chance to really experience things and compare them at the same time.
Does Spacanapoli have a spot there? Are they a regular attendee or?
He wasn't there the day that I went. I don't know if he was. I know he was there the first year. I don't know if he was cooking. Stephanie, do you know?
Yeah, I think Jonathan was traveling during that
Mm.
time, so I don't think he
Um,
was there for either day this time.
Yeah.
but he has been
But there
previously.
were but there were Neapolitan pizza
Okay.
makers
Right.
there,
Right.
like Leo
Right.
Sprisi. Leo was there doing a demo, and I don't know if he was cooking at any of the tents, but there was definitely a Neapolitan presence.
Yeah, I mean, one of the really nice things I think, or at least one of the potentially the nice things, is that typically my impression is some neighborhoods don't experience different styles here in Chicago. It's segregated in that way. So if you're going just for the fun of it, you could be exposed to different styles that ordinarily you would never try. And maybe it's also different toppings too, and maybe some different experiences too. So if you catch a panel that's giving a talk, ordinarily you would never do that, but maybe you're at the festival and you're there anyway. You've already paid for it, so why not hear someone talk about the history, say, or something like that? So there are opportunities. I keep coming back to the fact that what is the value proposition that they're giving you? It is a unique opportunity to get a lot of different styles at the same time and compare them. That's great. But I wonder if they could tweak it even harder so you could rank them. So you could have a voting there. You could have the home baker incorporated to some extent, either in a lecture or maybe you incorporate the home baker in a booth. So you would have a number of them there. Stuff to sort of think out of the box. Maybe you include someone from not in the United States. So maybe they have a different style in South America, which I've never had. It would be great to have them there at a festival.
Oh, so to kind of open it up beyond the parameters of Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, you've got everyone. So that's the great unique value of that spot there, to have a festival. You've got everyone there at the same time. They've already paid their dime, right? So why not include as many different styles as you can? Because if it's just the same thing, obviously I can do that on the street too for a far cheaper price. So that's not really going to add anything. I just think that they're sort of right on the edge there where you're sort of saying, yeah, it's not really worth it. And then, of course, if you had a bad experience because something happens there, because it's too crowded or whatever, which, is not uncommon, then it becomes, well, that was stupid. So I think it's workable. I just think they need to tweak it.
Like I say, do you guys think that there's a kind of question mark over the quality in the products you're getting at these pizza fests? Because obviously it's not home turf, they're playing away from home. Is it really indicative of what you get, if you were to walk into their joint? I know a lot of people kind of used to, there were some heavy hitters in New York who used to show up to Swane in the church in Little Italy. And it was like, yeah, it's nowhere near as good as when you go to the restaurant, which is kind of a duh. Well, of course. But
that was also hot hold too. They weren't actually, they couldn't bake in the church. So
yeah.
It was like,
that was a huge
takeaway.
Yeah. But Peter, does that kind of affect Chicago slightly less because it's a more hearty, substantial? Talking about deep dish,
right?
And even with thin, I guess,
even tavern style too. Yeah. No, I don't think it's. I mean, the ones that I've had, I can't remember saying, "Wow, that really took a hit." That's really not that way. No, it was good. So I think it's a legit. Now, the one exception would be, and I don't think I remember no, I think I did have it a little bit. So the one I would be a little bit concerned about is obviously the Neapolitan, because they tend to put things on plates and then the line is long and then they're just, it's such a...
Neapolitan doesn't travel well. It doesn't sit well. You want it. Yeah.
Right after bake. Yeah.
Right. So it is a little bit of a challenge.
Okay.
I thought, I went to the LA Pizza Fest and it was the first year this year, and it was, they had a lot more panels and what I would say a better way of representing all of Southern California and Hollywood, LA area, which is also a pretty substantial area if you're going to drive. So like Chicago,
I was going to say something
very spread out.
I was going to say something unfair, Stephanie, about how LA doesn't have enough good pizza places to have. But no, I know that's not true anymore.
And I thought that was a really interesting thing with LA is that you're right. Like LA wasn't a really big pizza mecca, but there's been a lot of really interesting things happening in LA. And so I thought that was great that they were able to do a pizza festival in Los Angeles, which, a few years ago I probably wouldn't have even thought about, but the pizza makers have really taken a step up in, Apollonia's Pizza, for example,
I was going to ask
Hollywood.
about them. Yeah.
West Hollywood, and they had a line, which was great to see because their pizza is definitely worth it.
Oh,
Um,
they're
but it
fantastic. They're fantastic.
but it focused on a lot of places I think that don't necessarily get the status or the media presence, and you can try it, and you might want to go to that new neighborhood joint. I mean, and I think that's same with Chicago too. Is there were places that I definitely haven't been able to get out to that I wanted to try. So it
Ste-
gives you a little bit more bang for your buck.
Stephanie, sorry, can does so obviously Joe's has set up shop in LA now. I mean, for quite some time now. Does it does in general does the LA scene have a slice culture, or is it more sit down?
So there are a bunch of places opening up that are slice centric now in
Okay.
LA. I mean, Apollonia's does slices,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they do slices of the Detroit too. Um, but it's definitely starting to become more of a slice culture. I mean, there are some still like down and dirty bad slice places, New York slice places that have been
Okay.
around forever. But the newer places are definitely opening up. I mean, there's Altalio Pizza. There's a little bit of everything now in LA. It's obviously Matza has been there forever and is amazing pizza from Nancy Silverton. But I do feel like the level of pizza and the ingredients and quality have really gone up quite a bit in LA. And they also had, I think I'm trying to remember if they had a few local breweries there. It was a smaller event than I'd say Chicago. Chicago this year was pretty large in
Is
size.
Chicago like which are the biggest ones?
Um, well, I
You
they're
don't?
all a little different in size, but I think that Chicago, from the amount of pizzerias, because it's spread over 2 days, if you quantified that, that would be more. Where the other places usually just do a day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's something that I increasingly kind of think London could benefit from because we have as Stephanie's been showcasing, there are a lot of really good places that are popping up. Shout out to Gracie's, shout out to Vincenzo's, um, and they're quite. I mean, those two are quite near, but there are so many good spots, kind of sporadically and disparately placed all over London. It's you know. It's not easy to do a pizza crawl. You'd have to, spend a couple of $1,000 with Uber. So I'd love to see London do one to showcase the fact that we actually now have some really, really good pizza places.
Well, and then you have Napoli Village, which is also, in Naples with the consumer-driven pizza festival attached to the Caputo Cup. And so I'd say that's also a pretty large selection of pizzerias in Naples and outside of Naples, within the Campania region. I don't think anyone comes in outside of Campania except for the people that are competing. And that's all consumer focused too. And I would say that's probably one of the larger ones to attend, with a lot of pizzerias and pizza frita places popped up
That's
there.
that's the one you chatted about with Pepe a while back, right?
Pepe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They moved locations this year. It used to be on the Gulf. So it was absolutely beautiful, set up on the Gulf of Naples. And it's an outdoor show. I mean, that's, I think, the big thing is all of these are outdoor. So sometimes they're weather permitted too.
Yeah, he
Like,
was he was saying that there was no AC and everyone was schwitzing left, right, and center. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's also, a lot of pizza festivals pop up during the summer months. And so you are going to focus on Mother Nature and how weather is going to operate. I mean, last year for Chicago, it was ridiculously hot. And so it was really hard to be in the sun for that amount of time during the day. I know I'm going to the one in Vegas. It's in a couple weeks, and that one was last year, and I thought they did a really good job. They had a lot of because it's Vegas, they had bands and they had comedians kind of giving you a little more entertainment while you hung out and had your pizza. So I thought that was a really great way to kind of incorporate and also keep people there. They had a
Yeah,
variety of local beers.
Vegas knows how to keep people entertained.
They know how to throw a
Yeah,
party.
exactly,
And I would say
exactly.
that it was a smaller in size, but Vegas also has an amazing pizza scene and great variety of pizza, just like LA has become. And so, it was great to see Neapolitan. They have a pizza truck, Signora pizza truck there serving Neapolitan slices, which I thought were really good. Tony Giminani's Pizza Rocks there. Yeah, it was a really good variety.
But just to go back to Peter's stomping ground, if would you recommend it as a kind of destination trip? Like if I were to, because I've only ever transited through or been in Chicago for work. I've never actually hung out there. Would you recommend going and timing it for the Pizza Fest in
Only
terms
if
of
you're
use
already
case?
gonna, yeah, only if you're already gonna come, and then of course you should see me first. But
Well, of course. Well, I'm Peter. You think I'm flying solo? I'm bringing you to the Pizza Fest with me. But yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
I just kind of figure like it's a good, it's a fun thing to go there and eat until I perforate my stomach. Might be a good way to.
yeah. But ordinarily, if I had to say, to be honest, I don't think it's a destination. If you're not going to come to Chicago, I don't think you
Uh,
should come just for the fest. But if you're already going to come in the month of July or August, then
okay.
time it then, right? But it's not. I mean, I think we should be careful. I don't think we should overemphasize how great these things are. They can go badly, and
Hmm.
it can be hot, and it can be disorganized,
Yeah.
and it can be frustrating because you're standing there for an hour in line. It's just, maybe it's just because I'm getting older and I'm a little crotchety, but I don't have the patience to stay in line for over a half hour. And then I get like, why am I here? Exactly. And then I remember, okay, I need to do this because I'm doing the research on a subject that I need to do work on. But if I didn't have that, I would probably be out of there,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
are
I mean, look,
lines, definitely.
oh, for each spot, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Ah.
and
Yeah.
some
Okay.
places are easier to
I'm
get
not.
into and out of, but if you don't like a line,
Yeah.
I would not go to a pizza festival.
Tom's turned
Okay,
off
yeah,
now.
it's I'm done. Yeah, I mean,
He's out.
I mean, British people in general do like queuing. It's like it's a kind of meme of us in general. But I missed out on that gene. If I see more than three people, no,
Uh-oh.
yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, you got to get in early. That was the only time I got slices, really, was like early in the morning. I'd go straight to where I wanted to check out and grab a couple slices and then like wait later in the day to see if there was a break again. But it does
Okay,
get pretty chaotic. I think that's also like that's up to the organizers. Some of them have been better where they're not having as many people entering. So it's, keeping it with a balance of allowing it to sell out and not
sure.
overdoing it. So I'd say as the San Francisco Pizza Festival was really good about not having to really stand in line in a big way, for most places. It was the way that they had it around a park too gave more room for people, so you could actually tell where lines were forming and not forming, because that's also a big problem
Hmm.
in some of the crowding of the Pizza Fest. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Peter. I don't like to stand in lines either.
That's a deal breaker for all three of us, apparently. Okay, it's good to
Give
know.
me a call,
We're
Tom.
throwing
I
our
will
cards
take you
down.
out. I will take you out, Tom.
Yeah,
Just
I'd
call me.
much rather go
We'll
go
go
to
to
somewhere
Spaca. We're
the
gonna do it.
you
Yeah.
perfect. You sold me. I'm done.
Well, and also, with the Pizza Fest, you're only getting probably one, maybe two different slices.
Hmm.
So, they're gonna have a slice of the day basically that they're gonna serve you that whole day. So it's not
That's a
like
good
you can go
point.
up and order. You're
Right.
you're getting,
True, true.
You
the
can
the
try.
the Neapolitan slice, a margarita, and nothing more, nothing less. So as a vegetarian, I was limited,
Hmm.
definitely, especially in Chicago
Hmm.
with the amount of sausage people were putting on pizza, which is, it's a Chicago thing. But, I know going into it that, I'm probably going to discount half the slices because I'm not going to eat the pork or the
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah, you're kind of disadvantaged from the drop, I guess.
exactly.
Less so in the New York ones, but yeah.
Yeah, or on the West Coast. I feel like there's
Hmm.
a lot more vegetarian pizzerias,
Yeah,
or they're
yeah.
providing a vegetarian option. So I definitely find that more. Well, so Pizza Fest, I guess we're on the fence. Go if you want to. Check out who's going to be there if you can. Most of the places publish who's going to be at the fest ahead of time, and figure it out if you want to stand in line. But in the next episode, Tom, you're going to be talking about pizza
So yeah,
gimmicks.
next week we're going to be chatting about pizza gimmicks. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Whether it's just a kind of Instagram fueled shit show, it's the last few minutes. I can swear now. Or whether it actually has some kind of genuine organic benefit. But yeah, I think that just about does it. Probably time to wrap. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Quick shameless plug. If you liked what you saw, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up and subscribe. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, or Spotify, or whichever other platforms you use. And find us on Instagram and TikTok under the handle I Need Pizza Club. Cool. All right, guys. That's a wrap. Have a good
Ciao.
weekend. Ciao.
Bye.